Okay, this is going to be a walkthrough for part 1 of lab 2. As far as doing RS links and getting that connection going, you shouldn't have to make any changes because it was set up last week. We only made that connection as a demonstration of how to do it. So you shouldn't have to worry about that. The only thing is when you go to download, when you go to Who Active, it's going to bring up basically what's in RS links. And you can see here the connection 236. That was my instructor PLC in the lab. This is the PLC that I have at home. I can hit set project path and I'm going to hit download, make sure everything downloads. It's going to tell me it's a different controller type. You won't get this message. This is only because the PLC I have at home for testing is different. It's going to ask me to change it. I'm going to download it and everything should be fine. So as far as this lab document goes, it should have everything you need to get through the lab. Okay? But this video is going to supplement that. So for the lab, what we're going to do is we have this conveyor here with actually 3 sections of conveyor and 3 different ends. So short boxes will exit off the end of conveyor 1. Medium boxes will exit off of conveyor 2, and we have a pusher to push it from conveyor 1 to conveyor 2. And tall boxes will go off conveyor 3. So the tall boxes will get pushed from 1 to 2, and then over here get pushed from 2 to 3. If you want to see that running, I also have a video of that on YouTube as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create our own user-defined data type. And what I want to do first is make the machine or my connection to the PLC go offline. And right here in the document, it's got it step by step. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Assets, Data Types, User-Defined, and I'm going to hit New Data Type. And right here, I'm explaining you're going to want to start your UDT with something like UDT. Al Douglas like to start it with underscore, something that's unique for your UDTs because that'll make it easier to find in the list. So I'm going to call it ADV, Advanced Return. A lot of people in the lab got confused by this. If you hit enter right away, it's like hitting the OK button saying everything's done and close it. And it's going to say unable to modify data type. At least one member is required. Okay. That's because these are the members. You haven't entered anything for this data type, just a name for it. Okay. So when you're done this, don't hit enter, click there. So don't get confused by that. And on the next page in the lab, I have the entire data type that we want to enter in here. Okay. You don't need to enter all this description. If I was doing this on a job, I would enter all this description so that it's in there. But for the sake of the lab and sake of time, you don't need to enter everything here. Okay. So ADV CLR, and you can see in the description, that means advanced clear. And to speed things up, it's good to know the key command. So if you hit tab, it goes to the next box. Oh, BOOL. It's a Boolean, it's a bit. Hit enter one more time. Advanced PB, that is the push button. Advanced command. Advance out. Advance complete. Advance fault. Advance fault timer. Okay. So make sure also this is not a Boolean. This is a timer because we're making a timer. Now notice over here, all the advanced stuff and then all this return stuff is exactly the same in the same order as well. It just doesn't have advanced in this part, it has return. So I'm gonna take all of these things, select them by holding shift, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and I'm going to change everything to ret. I'm just gonna even copy this. Paste. Okay, so there's a couple advantages here. Is one, I don't even have to remember what's after ret, clear, PB, command, output. But I also don't have to enter the data type again. Okay. So all these little things that are gonna speed things up when you're programming are gonna be very helpful. When you're done that, you can hit OK, and it's gonna close it. If you ever need to go back in and change anything, open up user defined, and your data types are all going to be there. We only have one in this case, but as you're making programs, maybe you're going to build up kind of a little library of these, and it'll make programming a lot easier. So let's look at the next page. On the next page, what I'm saying here is we're going to make a couple tags that use this data type. I'm trying to maximize the size of this. Okay, so we're going to need to go to controller tags. And if it's on monitor at the bottom here, where you just see values, you need to check or click on this little tab at the bottom that says edit. I also don't need all this at the bottom. I'm going to close that out. Scroll all the way to the bottom. You get this little yellow tag symbol. And I'm going to make, we got 2 pushers in this machine. I'm going to make pusher 1 and pusher 2, and I'm going to assign this data type. Pusher 1, pusher 2. Okay, and we're not done because they are dints. So if I looked inside it, all it is 32 bits. So 0 to 31. Okay, but we want all the tags that we just talked about. So if I click on here, start typing UDT, and you'll see the only thing in there that starts with UDT is what we just made, UDT advanced return. I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to say data will be truncated. That's because you're going to lose all the data that was inside that dint, but we didn't want it anyway. So the other reason that we started it with UDT is if you look inside, the amount of data types is pretty large, and it'd be hard to find something if we didn't name it distinctly. So if everything is under UDT for our custom data types, we can, you know, zero in on them from all the built-in ones. Now if I hit, okay, again, I get this warning. If I hit the little arrows or triangles next to it, you'll see I only have to type in pusher 1 and then give it this data type, and then it makes all these other tags for me. So with only 2 pushers, it hasn't saved us a ton of work, but imagine I had 10 or 100, okay? This is one of the most typical things that is on a machine is a cylinder that advances and returns or raises and lowers. And if we can, you know, maybe we have tens or hundreds of them, if we can use a structure like this, a user-defined data type, we can make sure that everything is consistent, and we can also enter things a lot quicker. The other advantage of this data type, say I noticed I spelt something wrong here, like this advanced complete, it was supposed to be something else. I could go into the UDT, change that. I'm not going to because it's not wrong, and it would fix it everywhere we use this data type. So if we already made 100 cylinders and we notice there's a spelling mistake, we fix it in one place and it's fixed in 100 spots for us. Okay, so that is the end of part 2. Or part 1, sorry. We're going to go on to part 2. So I'm going to put that in a separate video, and you can look at that there. But I would save your work and move on to part 2.